A continent at a crossroads. Why a top African expert says it's time to recognize Somaliland. In a development that promises to reshape one of Africa's most protracted political dilemmas, a leading voice on continental border policy has issued a compelling call for the international recognition of Somaliland. Dr. Wafula Okumu, Executive Director of the Borders Institute and a former expert with the African Union Border Program, has laid out a detailed argument that challenges the prevailing status quo. His analysis, grounded in historical precedent and a pragmatic assessment of current realities, presents Somaliland not as a secessionist problem, but as a unique case of a nation restoring its sovereignty. This endorsement marks a pivotal moment, arguing that recognizing Somaliland would not break the African Union's core principle of respecting colonial borders. It would uphold it by applying the rule of law consistently and justly. The core of Dr. Okumu's legal argument hinges on a critical distinction. Somaliland is seeking a reversion to sovereignty, not secession. It is an effort to restore the borders of the former British Somaliland Protectorate, a territory that was internationally recognized before it voluntarily entered a union with Italian Somaliland in 1960 to form the Republic of Somalia. When that union dissolved in the chaos of Somalia's civil war, Somaliland reclaimed its independence based on its pre-1960 borders. This narrative aligns directly with the AU's foundational principle of ut possidetis, which sanctifies the colonial borders inherited at independence. To recognize Somaliland, therefore, is not to redraw the map, but to acknowledge a historical reality that predates the failed union. This legal framing is designed to address the primary concern of African nations, the fear of setting a precedent for endless border conflicts, by showing that Somaliland's case is an exception grounded in a specific and unrepeatable history. Beyond the compelling legal theory, the argument for recognition is powerfully reinforced by Somaliland's tangible achievements in self-governance. For over 3 decades, in the face of international indifference, the people of Somaliland have quietly built one of the most stable, democratic, and resilient political entities in the Horn of Africa. They have held multiple peaceful transfers of power through credible elections, maintained internal security, and fostered a functioning economy. This stands in stark contrast to the prolonged instability experienced in the region. Dr. Okumu posits that the African Union's continued reluctance to engage formally with Hargeisa has created a damaging political deadlock. It leaves millions of Somalilanders in a state of limbo, unable to fully access international development, investment, or diplomatic channels, and fails to reward a clear example of African-led success in governance and institution building. Ultimately, this moment presents a critical test for the African Union. The question is no longer just about Somalia's territorial integrity, but about the AU's own credibility, consistency, and capacity for nuanced problem solving. Will it adhere to a rigid interpretation of policy that ignores a unique historical context and a proven record of stability? Or will it demonstrate the wisdom and courage to address an exceptional case on its own merits? Granting Somaliland recognition is framed not as an act of capitulation, but as a strategic decision that would enhance regional security, foster economic growth, and solidify a beacon of democratic resilience. It is a chance for the AU to show that its principles are living guidelines applied with fairness, not inflexible shackles that perpetuate injustice. What do you think? Join the AfriNews 24 community discussion. This is one of the most critical conversations about Africa's future, and your perspective is vital. We encourage a respectful and insightful exchange of ideas in the comments section below. Let's discuss. The legal case. Does the reversion, not secession argument adequately addresses the concern about setting a precedent for other regions in Africa? Rewarding stability. Should a proven track record of peace and democratic governance be a major factor in granting international recognition, even in complex political situations? The AU's role. Is the African Union's current position on Somaliland a necessary defense of sovereignty, or is it a failure to adapt to a unique and compelling case? The path forward. What would be the potential benefits or risks for the wider Horn of Africa if Somaliland were to be formally recognized? We value thoughtful and respectful dialogue. Please ensure your comments comply with YouTube's safety policies by avoiding hate speech, personal attacks, and misinformation. Stay informed with in-depth, Africa-focused reporting. Subscribe to AfriNews 24 and hit the bell icon so you never miss our expert analysis on the stories shaping our continent.